911 emergency.
Judge will come here. You'll have to. It has to be him. I've seen his training, his methods. I know what kind of man he is. Part of the cycle, just like me. A never-ending game. I'll show him when he gets here. Show him that he's the same puppet as me. Trapped in the same sick play.
Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Ready or Not video. In this video, we're going to be checking out the long-awaited update that just came out for Supporter Edition owners for us to playtest. This is a massive major content update that we're finally getting our hands on. I am so excited to bring this to you guys. Super excited to talk about all these big changes. This big update is featuring 5 new levels, 4 new weapons, new AI behaviors, and way much more. Getting into it, we're probably just going to be focusing on the highlights of this update. There is so much to get into, and I'm not going to be able to go into all of it in extreme detail. However, rest assured, over this next week or so, I will be consistently uploading videos regarding or related to this new Ready or Not update for supporters. And obviously, don't get your heads down. I'd say that Standard Edition will most likely get to play this new update within the coming weeks. Getting right into it with the highlighted features of this huge update. First thing is the graphics. We have received a massive graphics overhaul featuring new lighting in the much recent added levels, the 5 new levels that we were just received, as well as entirely new graphics and lighting rework for existing maps. So you'll notice that a lot of the maps have some really cool lighting, and they did some really awesome changes to their graphics overall. Along with that, visual effects like muzzle flashes along with flashlights have been reworked as well, which looks really cool. Some new gameplay changes coming with this update includes a new feature with ammunition spalling and ricocheting. Spalling will now happen when bullets hit steel surfaces thick enough for them not to penetrate. Ricochets can happen when bullets hit surfaces at an angle. Along with this, a steel armor will cause spalling when hit. It will not cause injury to the wearer, but it will cause injury to those around that individual, and they will receive damage. Adding on to some of these changes, they have added arterial bleeds. Hitting an AI in a spot that has a major artery vein can cause them to start bleeding, and over time it'll severely injure them and cause them to succumb to blood loss. And every ammunition type has its own chance to cause an arterial bleed. With this, we will now be seeing gore effects. Decals will now stick to AI properly instead of projecting on their models, and bullet holes in AI will cause bleeds. Bullet holes in AI will cause blood to seep around the wound and clothing slowly. That's a really cool added effect. Headshots will now cause head deformation, and blood splatter on walls will be animated with the trailing effects. Obviously, with gore effects, we'll also be getting incapacitation. AI now has a chance to fall into incapacitation when shot instead of outright dying. They enter an incapacitated state, and they will need to be reported. However, the voice lines are a little scuffed, and they mentioned that this will be updated within due time. We've got some changes to the movement, and this is kind of a big one. I noticed this right away. They have restricted the Q and E leaning. I'm not talking about the Alt E and the Alt Q, the quick leaning. However, the normal Q and E leaning has been reduced to 15 degrees sideways instead of 40. And the reason for this is they express that the third person model wasn't projecting properly, and it prevented players from peeking suspects and not exactly exposing their bodies, which was kind of like exploiting that mechanic there. The alt leaning or quick leaning has been slowed down significantly to prevent lean spam and now allow accurate leaning increments. 7.62 ammunition variants for rifles have been buffed, as well as increased limb damage for jacketed hollow point ammo variations. Now, moving along to something that's very important that I know a lot of you are going to be excited to hear about with the AI. The AI have received an entirely new overhaul. They have completely rebuilt the civilian and suspect AI. Disclaimer here, we haven't heard anything about SWAT. I think they have changed some of the SWATs. I'll get into that a little bit later, and it's not for the better, I will tell you that. However, getting back to what I was stating, civilian and suspect AI have been completely reworked. Finally, I'm so excited for this. They now use a mathematical system to weigh and make continuous decisions they deem are best for their current situation and objective, instead of randomly choosing actions to take. Along with this is actually kind of interesting as well. There's a faction system. Each AI in every level will have a unique behavior specific to that level. Each individual NPC can act differently than the other. Some AI can have a faction leader. Arresting or killing the leader may cause the morale to drop for the rest of the faction. They also added a rat hole system, which I believe this is only available on one of the new maps called Ridgeline. It's an AI type of, I guess, system that allows them to go in between vents and spaces to kind of flank the player. And they do state only some levels have this, which I think it's just Ridgeline as of right now. Along with big AI changes, we will be seeing hostage taking for suspects. They will now take civilians hostage on certain levels and when certain conditions are met. Also new, AI suspects will now have a limited ammo capacity. They can run out of ammunition after a set amount of reloads. What they do next depends, and it is situational. Now, here's another really big one that people have been waiting for, and yes, it looks awesome. The suspect AI now use animations to aim and lower their weapons instead of simply blending between two poses. This locks their raise to aim behavior, causing fewer issues related to snap shooting. AI will play appropriate reaction animations when encountering players. Suspects no longer immediately raise their weapons to shoot if they don't expect your arrival, and depending on their personality, they may be more easily scared than others. AI now use a movement blend system. They will have to accelerate first from walking before moving at their maximum speed. This prevents erratic and unbearable AI movement suddenly moving at full speed in close quarters. Also, along with this, reactions to being stunned by grenades have been improved, playing full body animations appropriate to the stun type. I'm super excited for that. I have seen it so far in gameplay. There's a few features there like hostage taking that I have yet to see. However, the new animations and all of that good stuff that I just mentioned are really smooth. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it's just amazing that they listened to our feedback and they have finally brought it to us. We're going to be moving on to firearm additions. They have added the P90, the MP7, the SPC9, the M11 Compact, which is a P229 sidearm, and with these new weapons they have added bullet penetration values which have been reworked for more consistency. Material parameters, thickness, and bullet velocity is now calculated in game. Along with this, they've improved bullet zeroing to optic dot over distance, whatever that means. However, I believe it's most likely a good change. Small little addition here that I still thought was cool, and I wanted to mention it because I have heard it in game. They added some more voiceovers, and it only gets triggered for a variety of situations. However, along with this, they have increased the frequency of random AI idle chatter, which sounds really good and definitely helps with the overall immersion. Now, last but not least, we'll be featuring the new levels, the new maps. You guys are going to be seeing 5 new levels that Void Interactive is going to be featuring for this huge update. This is just amazing. You'll be getting the completely done and finished, fully textured agency map, which is no longer in its hostage rescue scenario state. It's a barricaded suspect mission, which is a lot of fun. Along with that, data center, ridgeline, hospital, and last but not least, importer. Now, each of these maps kind of have their different depths to it. As far as I can tell so far, ridgeline and agency are the smallest, and ridgeline kind of has you focused on going after this one guy named Gerard, and he is a prime suspect, and he goes after police officers. He's got this operation in his house out in the middle of this rigid area, this Ural area, that the SWATs and HRT are trying to get this guy into custody for taking down police officers, deliberately setting a vehicle on fire, and then shooting the police officers outside the police station while they were trying to extinguish a vehicle. This map only has a couple of suspects, and they kind of want you to take both of them in custody without violence. Now, this is kind of where I'm going to talk about how I think they need to change this up a bit, and I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity to test this now so they can fix it up. However, looks like they're going in the direction of wanting you to use more less lethal. Now, I have a very sensitive, I guess, opinion or controversial opinion on this, and I really want this game to stay true to its roots as a SWAT simulation game. Obviously, give us the option to use less lethal. SWAT teams, police departments, police officers, tactical units, however you want to describe them, these guys are almost always deployed with some type of less than lethal device to take subjects into custody. However, we should not be penalized in game for taking down a suspect because they decided to point a firearm in our direction. You never prioritize less than lethal weapons or less than lethal firearms, however you want to say them, to take a suspect into custody that is violent, that wants to hurt you and others if they are immediately a threat to officer safety and civilian safety. Lethal force is authorized right then and there. You don't take those chances. So, having these opportunities, I do believe that utilizing less than lethal and taking down a, I guess, prime target and taking them back to the station unscathed, I think that should give you bonus points. However, I do not believe that should be the only objective and the only way to get through the map and complete the map, the objectives, right? That's a big issue to me because you fail whenever you take down these targets because they aim a firearm or however the situation plays out. They even shoot themselves, which I've seen, and obviously this stuff happens in real life. The SWAT team doesn't go back to the station and, you know, half of them get fired. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the situation. Utilizing less than lethal firearms should always be an option, and I believe within the game they should give you bonus points. It should be something that you should strive to do always. However, your whole team shouldn't be penalized because the suspect in question, the valuable target, decided to point a firearm and you had to take them out, causing you to restart the game. There should always be situations where you can still complete a mission without taking all the suspects into custody. Otherwise, we're going to start seeing everybody running nothing but less than lethal, and it's going to turn into a different type of game, and that's not realistic. That's not fun. We want the firefights. We want the option to use less lethal. I want the game to be immersive and realistic for myself and the group that I play with. You'll notice things like this in Ridgeline, where you have to take the 2 suspects into custody, and you have to take them into custody without them being incapacitated, as well as one of the main guys on Agency, who's a valuable target. If he goes down, you fail the mission as well. And like I just stated, I think that kind of unravels a bunch of issues in its own way, and hopefully they kind of listen to my feedback and other feedback from multiple members of the community, because I'm sure they're going to feel the exact same way. That should get changed, and we should have some type of alternative objective there to kind of fix that. Now with Data Center, Hospital, and Importer, these maps are much larger. I think Data Center is probably like a medium size compared to Hospital and Importer. You'll notice there's no crazy objectives there, at least not that I notice. I think there might be a valuable target on Importer, and there's actually a gameplay scene where I ran into the suspect, and because the animations are so fresh and new, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around what the character is doing. And the guy screamed, "Don't shoot, I give up," but at the same time he made an extremely rash movement, a quick movement, throwing his firearm to the right of him, my left. And to me it kind of just startled me, and I thought maybe he was bringing a firearm up to shoot me. And of course, everything happened so quickly, and I shot him in the face, killing that guy. Now, in a real situation, I think we can all agree that that would probably end up in me losing my position, or at least no longer being a SWAT officer. However, I guess it kind of depends. You're taking a life, and you kind of read the situation wrong. There's tons of things that are going through your head in that moment. However, you know, as a SWAT officer, you need to be prepared for that. So me being conditioned with this game and kind of learning how the suspects and the civilians and their movements, now that everything is reworked, you'll notice you're kind of rewiring your brain to say, okay, these guys normally do this and that. Now I know when to shoot and when not to shoot. But now that things are more dynamic and they're a lot different, you kind of get thrown off by this, and you can make a lot of mistakes. I even made the mistake of shooting a civilian. I had a civilian, they do this a lot. They hide now, they hide a lot. And when you get closer to them, they like to pop out and spook you. And I think they do this on purpose. And I had a civilian scare the shit out of me. I thought I was being rushed by somebody with a knife, and I opened fired and killed the guy. So it's really crazy. Things happen super quickly. However, I think it adds to the dynamic of the game and the overall realism, and it's really cool. I think honestly just having a little bit of time to go through these new levels and kind of have an opinion so far. Obviously it hasn't been too much time since the update came out, but I have put in a little bit of time. I did a live stream. That live stream is actually available if you want some more unedited, more unfiltered gameplay. That should still be available for you guys to check out. Either way, with Hospital, I think that map might be my favorite. If you choose Barricaded Suspect, there's multiple different game modes for Hospital, and I don't think it's like that for the rest of the maps. I think just Hospital right now has all the game modes available for you, and it changes up the map significantly depending on the type of scenario that you choose. Now, I believe in the story, the same subjects that attacked the club, those individuals who went through, the active shooters, and just, you know, decimated a bunch of people. Well, apparently the Hospital map is related to that, where the victims, the survivors who are receiving care at the hospital, well, I guess the suspects didn't believe they did a good enough job, and they launched another active shooting type, I guess, agenda, and they went to the hospital and started shooting everybody, including, you know, targeting those that were survivors of that club. And it's actually really cool. Like, you go inside the hospital, there's bodies everywhere, there's blood everywhere, and the overall aesthetic of the map far outperforms a lot of what I've seen from Importer and Data Center. And honestly, like, I think every map kind of has its own environmental storytelling, which is great, but for whatever reason, Hospital kind of has its own very unique atmosphere that really hits home for me, and it changes, you know, the immersion, which is really cool, and I enjoy that map the most so far. I do like that aesthetic. But either way, all the maps are a lot of fun, and I just think it's absolutely incredible that they're giving us all this content in one go. And there are some bugs, and we're going to have some problems here, and that's one of the reasons why the Supporter Edition gets first dibs on checking this out, and also allows, you know, people like me, content creators, to kind of share the game and get my thoughts and stuff out there, because I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the developers watch my videos as well, and you know, they kind of get a good idea as to those, you know, I guess us veterans that have been playing the game since they released the PvE version last year. It's just amazing, you know, that we have this opportunity to play test the game, and this update is really good. But either way, standard edition owners should be able to receive this here. Hopefully not in too much of a lengthy amount of time. Normally it's anywhere between like 2 weeks, I would say. I know last update, that was kind of a lie. However, it seems like this update looks much more polished than the last one in the state that we're in now, but we'll just have to see. That pretty much wraps everything up, guys. Hopefully I covered everything. Well, I didn't get to cover everything in detail, but like I said, within the next week I'll be coming out with frequent videos related to this major patch, and I'll go into more detail as to what's going on. Had a lot of fun. This is a really good commentary to do. I'm so excited that this update is here, and hopefully everybody will get a chance to check it out not too long from now. Thank you guys so much for sticking to the end of the video. Make sure, please, and this video took a lot of effort. I stayed up all night to get this video done for you guys. Like the video, hit that little bell icon so you get notified when there's a new video. Subscribe. Thank you guys so much. I definitely appreciate it. All that stuff helps out the channel as well. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you guys so much.